Hey, what's up guys, and first of all, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you out there. I hope you're relaxing and enjoying yourself and having a great, wonderful time. I hope you all stay safe and enjoy your time guys. So once again, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all out there. So sit back, relax and enjoy. So let's get into part 8 of What If Naruto traveled to Hashirama's time. If this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, after seeing the full memory of what happened, as Madara saw that Naruto captured his father and Hashirama's father, as he brought the both of them into a different dimension, as he wanted both of them to talk as he started to walk away, but they waste no time and draw their weapons and stab right through each other, killing each other instantly, as Madara understood. As he woke up, as Aisuna and the others asked him what happened, as he apologized for just bursting in like that, as he no longer feel any ill intent towards Naruto. As they stayed there for some time and talked, going back, Hashirama knew that something was up as he spoke to Naruto as well about what happened. As Tobirama already knew, as he could fill in the blanks. He knew that Naruto had something to do with his father's death, but still, if it was Naruto, it was going to be him. Time passed as they came up with a solution, as Naruto became the clan head. They were able to bring up the unknown enemy. Yes, there's been an unknown enemy hiring Senju's and Uchiha's for false mission and picking them off. So with that, they used that to bring the two clans together, just a trial basis as they mixed them on different teams as things was going well. The ones that they had to worry about was the senior heads. It took some time, as a lot of other clans Naruto had invited to Konoha. Yes, it took some time, as him and Hashirama was able to build Konoha in an instant, with the ceiling and the buildings all just popping up all around. But it was keyed into all of their chakra, Naruto included, Hashirama, Madara, Aisuna and Tobirama. As Konoha was built, they were all invited there as things was going great. There was a little skirmish between some of the Uchihas and the others, but Madara was able to quell all of that, as Naruto was named the first Hokage of the village. As they also saw him going around with a Uzumaki girl, as they always spying on him. Hashirama saw that Naruto still missed all of his friends and his own time, as he saw the seals that were inscribed on the wall that showed a videotape of Naruto's life. As things was going on, Hashirama found out that he was the one that created the cylinder with the necklace that sent Naruto back to his time, as he blamed himself. So he came up with something as him and Mito had the idea. The both of them come together as they were able to create a seal. As Naruto was called to the clearing by Hashirama, as he had a spar. Right after they was finished, Hashirama slammed the seal on Naruto, as he thanked him for all of his help for what he'd done here, as he told him it's time to return. Next thing Naruto knew, it was black. All that he saw was black. When Naruto woke up, he looked around. Nothing. As he didn't feel whisker marks on his cheek as well. As he realized Jinchuriki weren't a thing, he had sealed all of them away in their own separate dimension, placing them in a place where they can stay, so they won't be disturbed. And they were all over the nations. And there were countless of seals on them. So, if that is a possibility, does that mean he's back in his old time? And because of what he did in the past, things have drastically changed in the future, such as his memories start get shot by memories. Yes, everything start get flooded in of what he was doing. He was training, and not to mention his mother and father were still alive. And Menma, who's Menma? So yeah guys, that was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So, let's begin this new episode. Naruto sat down in the grassy field. As he was in his original time, he just sit there not moving. This new time, this new reality that he has been sent into, because of what he did in the past, everything has changed. As everything started to get shot into his head. He was still a genin. His memories told him so. He was 16 but still a genin. Without a team because there was an odd number of graduates. He was the dope of the academy again. He had no team. He was still a genin. Damn, things just never get better for him, did they? Because he had no team, he was stuck without missions. He had been a genin for 4 years now. Had he only passed by some dumb luck? Yes. As Naruto sat there, as he was the first Hokage, and now, these memories of his new life and his old life back at Konoha, they were all drummed in together. But he was getting what he can. The reason why he was here, he was training. Where no one would come to look for him because his life. This one was a strange one. And it was lonely. He did not have any bonds. Not even Haruka Sensei. But why? He was a dope. That he understood. He didn't have a team, so he didn't go on missions. But all of his academy friends did. As he realized he has been left behind, their life grew busier and busier, while he stayed the same. Also, there was something in his memory that was still a bit fuzzy. Maybe it would fall into place later. As he looked at his current skill level, he was almost Jordan at the moment, but no one noticed. It wasn't the level that he was at when he was training himself back in his original time. But considering that S-rank Mr. Ninja wasn't after him, that was quite a feat. And he was training by himself alone. He had both his experiences in this world. And he also had an older brother named Menma. Menma was the same age as Itachi. Menma looked like Minato, just as Naruto looked like Kushina. Menma didn't often associate with his younger brother, as he wasn't impressed, and he went as far to ignore him. That was not very Uzumaki-like. Team 7, they were the best team from his year, a team Naruto was supposed to be on, but he wasn't. Instead, a Uzumaki named Arashi was on the team instead of him. And Uzumaki genius, go figures. His older brother Menma was a genius as well, on par with even Itachi. And Naruto was disappointed with the brother that had almost been forgotten. As Naruto wondered how long was he out here, what was he working on? Rasengan. The thought came to his mind. So Sarutobi had managed to pass jutsu down to his creator. As Naruto smiled softly at that, remembering that he was the one who taught Sarutobi this jutsu in his time as the first Hokage. Only Minato would never know. Well, Naruto did, and that is what mattered. He'd been here a week already and his progress was at the 3rd stage. Only this time, he didn't use the clone jutsu. His control was better, his focus was better. He didn't have a teacher either and he was working it all by himself. That was impressive. Then why was he the dope of the academy? He would have to think on that one later. What was his ceiling knowledge like? It was mediocre, but not terrible. Again, no teacher, and that was rather dangerous. If he had a teacher, it'd probably be a lot better. As he realized he was ignoring this time as well. Yes, for different reasons. I am named after the first Hokage, and I plan to surpass him. That is what he said when he entered the academy. That was this Naruto dream? To surpass himself? His eyes widened at that. Hashirama, you were trying to help. I get that. But didn't you realize when home, everything I knew was back in the Konoha where was the Hokage? Don't you get that? Naruto knew that Hashirama would never be able to answer him, as he felt conflicted and angry. Yes, because he was ripped away from the things that he got to love. Life that he got to love so much, even though he get to see the people here again, but things were different, so different. But Naruto could not dwell on it. That is what he learned, because one could not change what happened. Time travel, after all, was very unpredictable. He didn't want to go back to the past to find out that Madara Hashirama did not know him, or he had to face himself as the first Hokage. So, he was going to have to accept this. That didn't mean that he was angry, no. He was pissed as hell, but what could he do about it? But his mind had integrated with the Naruto of this world mind, his memories, all of his emotions, everything, he got it. But this was also his home as well, just as it wasn't at the same time. As he got back to his feet and brushed himself off, well, his mind knew a lot of things that this body did not know, things that will amaze people here, as well as a lot of complex ceiling art. And if he ever got offered the title as Hokage again, he would take it, just to have his face carved in the mountain, and then passed on to someone else. As he remembered that he had 3 more weeks in this force, because he asked his father for a month. His father looked somewhat distant when he agreed to it. As Naruto put his hand together and created 1,000 clones, as he had them work on everything that he knew, just to make sure that he was getting back to his original form. Time skip. Naruto sensed a squad approaching as he dispelled the Shadow Clone Jutsu, because he did not have it in this time. as he went to hide in a tree. He'd been training for 2 weeks now, getting things back up to gear. His progress satisfying, but he was not at level that he wanted to. He hadn't even tried to tap into Sage mode yet. The team approached quickly. Naruto thought that they were going to pass by him on their way to a mission or something, but a ninja dropped down from the trees, straight in the clearing where he was training. 3 others dropped down as well behind him. He was here a moment ago, but then he hit his chakra. Perhaps he sensed our approach. The first ninja stated as he pulled his hood back to show red spikes. As Naruto saw Konoha headband as his suspicions relaxed. Perhaps his father needed him back in Konoha, but his memory could not provide a time when that ever happened. Then, we will have to track him. Naruto's eyes went wide when he heard that voice. Sasuke Uchiha is still loyal to Konoha. A grin spread across his face. Track him? How good were they at tracking? As the other ones removed their cloaks to show the remaining members of Team 7. He's a genin and his files did not show much skill. It shouldn't be too hard to Kakashi. Menma didn't speak very highly of him either, said Sasuke. Great, said Naruto. Just for that, he was going to make them work for it. He has been a genin for 4 years. Surely, its skill has to remain the same, said Sakura. Kami, bless the pink head. This is Naruto we're talking about. Arashi said, like he was asking, how could she expect anything different? As Sakura frowned, but she did not reply. Ninken, Sasuke asked. He turned to Kakashi. Do you really think we're gonna need him for Naruto? He's just a genin, said Kakashi. As Naruto wondered, did people really ignore him that much? You know, I really don't like what you're saying. It's really degrading, said Naruto. Well, a shadow clone of Naruto. You make it sound like I'm going to stab myself with my own kunai. Something that idiotic, as he leaned against a tree. Namikaze and Naruto Kakashi greeted. Hatake Kakashi, Naruto replied. Let's play a game, shall we? If you can find me before the sunset, I'll let those comments go. However, if you can't, you will have to explain to the Hokage why he had to come to get me himself personally. What's the point? You're standing right there, Sakura said with a raised eyebrow. Appearances, especially as ninjas, can be very misleading. As the clone poofed away, as the original Naruto was already gone, already making his way back to Konoha, they wouldn't expect that. As he looked to see what his father wanted, not really very fair, but they hadn't been either. Time skip, by the time Team 7 came sulking back to Konoha, Naruto ordered from a stream that he bathed in, changed to first clothes, as he was waiting for them by the gate. He figured he would play nice for now. This was Team 7 after all, and he wanted to see what they were like. Had fun? Naruto asked. They all sent him small glares. The dogs have been useless because he was training there for the past 2 weeks with his clones. Its chakra would not be sent because they were looking in the wrong direction. Hokage-sama requested your presence, Kakashi said. And he sent Team 7 to get me. Must be a slow week for missions. As he walked inside, he whistled. He wondered if Hashirama was around and if he could get some of the magical stuff. It had literally been years. Well, his father would not probably appreciate delay. As he then turned, Team 7 was following him. As he looked at him, the questioning look. We were told to accompany you, said Kakashi. Oh? Do we have a time limit or something? Naruto said. Not really, said Sakura. Just before the day ends. Great, then we can get some food. I'm starving. As Naruto did not find Ichiraku ramen in his timeline, what the hell was going on? He would look for it no matter what. Well, he was so hungry, so they set up for a barbecue instead. Team 7 seemed rather awkward, like they'd never done this before. Had they never went out to eat before together. You guys are awfully quiet, said Naruto, as he was living off of ration bars for a while out in the forest. So now having this food was, it was so good. As he looked over at them that were looking rather awkward. Well, we're not sure what to say, said Sakura. How was your last mission, said Naruto. As they shifted, he realized it didn't go good at all. So, you failed. That's too bad. But as long as everyone was able to come home, there shouldn't be any hard feelings. I'm curious though, what would make something like you four fail? A team from another village, Sakura said a shrug. They had the same mission, they were envoy. As Naruto nodded at that, he could account for their quiet demeanor. Why do you do that? Sasuke suddenly snapped at him. Do what? Said Naruto as he sipped some of his tea. That, Sasuke said in annoyance. Like you're silently laughing at us or something. Oh, because I find you amusing, Sasuke-kun, Naruto said, with a smile. He was the first Hokage for God's sake, and in this peaceful existence, where the problem was that ninjas were lacking in progress or their training or failed missions, it really amused him, because back in Hashirama's time, things were real there. This just seemed peaceful. This team was so serious, yet he learned from his memory. None of them, not even Kakashi, experienced war. What is so amusing? Arashi asked. You would understand, Naruto says he waved his hand. It irritated Arashi to no end because the boy was considered a genius. And he always knew everything. They were about to protest, but Naruto stood up, as he had money as he placed on the table. As he hummed peacefully towards the Hokage's tower, at peace. Konoha was bright, cheerful, and self-sustaining out of missions, just as he hoped. As they made their way, "Yo," said Naruto as he went into his father's office as he greeted. The 5th Hokage looked up from his work and smiled at him, gesturing for him to sit down. "Hello, Naruto-kun. I trust your training went well," said Minato. "Meh. It was going," said Naruto with a shrug. "Sorry to cut your month short, but I have some news for you. There's a team that is in need of a new member, due to one of their teammates getting promoted." "Team 7? said Naruto. It would explain why a squad like that was sent to take him in, when they could have sent Genin to search for him out there, because they didn't think much of his skills now. Minato was surprised that he figured it out so quickly, but he smiled anyway. "Yes, but let's wait for them to get here, shall we?" It only took a minute as the team came trailing in. Once they did, Minato held out a file to Arashi. "Congratulations, Arashi," said Naruto. As he knew what was in the file already, the Chunin was being promoted to Jonin, or Takabitsu Jonin. As of today, Naruto will be a part of Team 7, replacing Arashi, who's now a Takabitsu Jonin, said Minato. As 4 pair of eyes shifted over to Naruto, as he simply shrugged. Arashi, your swift action in your last mission prevented what could have been a disastrous situation. That, and your current skill levels, the elders and I decided that you are due for a promotion. You earned it, Arashi Uzumaki." As Naruto watched his father smile. As Naruto felt happy, this was the first time he was sitting down and talking with his father. Well, not this him, but this mind of his. Well, it was now his body now, but still. His father was alive, his mother as well. Sure, he had the memories, but it was not like he was experiencing it. Up until now. It was amazing, this feeling. It was nice. Naruto zoned out as the others congratulated Arashi. He was a bit surprised though that fate had thrust him into Team 7 once again, as he wondered how that would go. As he walked out to the office, Kakashi said something about meeting the rest of them on the bridge tomorrow. Some things just didn't change, as Arashi disappeared a final wave to Sakura and Sasuke, saying that he wanted to go home tell his grandfather about his promotion, as Sakura wandered off as well, leaving Naruto with Sasuke. So, Sasuke said but he trailed off. As he then spoke again, it's tradition amongst the Uchihas to invite teammates over to introduce them to the family. "Oh, alright then. When should I arrive and what should I wear?" Naruto blinked in surprise, not even expecting this. "What you're wearing now should be fine, and around 5. Naruto nodded as Sasuke sunshine away. As Naruto's shoulders slumped when he gone, it was hard to pretend that he wasn't needing this attention. It was hard seeing Team 7 like this, so distant from him. He could only imagine what it was like seeing his old friends, what it would be like to see his teachers, like Erosenin. But, no matter, because he would change things. Yes, that was something to smile about. When Naruto arrived, he was, well, both happy and dismayed to realize that Itachi invited Menma as well. "Brother," he said, as he greeted. Menma did not say anything back though. As Naruto sighed, but he let it go. Perhaps he could work on his relationship with his brother later. "Naruto-san." Sasuke greeted. "Father, this is my new teammate, Namikaze Naruto," Sasuke said. As Fukaku turned and looked at Naruto, as he gave him a once-over. "Naruto, Wasn't he the dead last of the year?" "Yes," Naruto said, as he find that title rather amusing. "I'm also still a genin because I did not have a team up until now. There was an odd amount of numbers in graduation." "I see," said Fukaku. As Naruto could feel his smug boasting coming from Fukaku, like to say that Sasuke was better, which only made him smile more. He probably looked like the idiot that they thought he would, but he didn't really care at all. He was really past the point of care in old age, did that to a person. Sitting down was interesting to say at least. Menma didn't utter a word, as he said nothing to Naruto. Well, until Mikato told him to pass the beans over to Naruto, who hadn't got any yet. "Is something the matter, Menma-kun?" asked Itachi innocently. He could guess that Naruto was a problem. "I don't understand why I don't like him. His place on Team 7. That is only going to slow the team down. Obviously, Dad is letting his personal feelings get in the way of the job Menma snapped." As everyone turned to look at Naruto, as noodles were in his mouth, he simply smiled before slurping them up. "Did I miss something?" he said with a chuckle. He could feel the disbelief in their chakra, and that made it so much better, but it also made Menma angrier. "Mikato-san, this is absolutely delicious. I would love to exchange some cooking tips sometime." Naruto turned towards her with a bright smile. "Oh, you cook?" Yes, I find it quite relaxing." "Relaxing?" Menma scoffed. "What on earth would you need to do something relaxing for?" "God, brother," said Naruto. "Aren't you a ball of sunshine today? But I can see that my presence does not complement well with yours. I just wish that you was so rude to bring our family affair into the Uchiha's house. It is not very nice to the Uchihas. As Naruto got up, as he smiled at Mikoto as he bowed to the room, as he started to leave. Naruto, wait, Sasuke said, as he got to his feet as well. But Naruto was already at the door, as he went off. He wasn't upset by your words, as he usually is, Menma, said Tachi, as he could feel the Naruto chakra. It rather seemed amusing a bit. Yes, it's raining. They heard the voice outside before the door shut quietly. Time skip. As Naruto left early, as he really hoped that this Kakashi was not late as the old one. As Naruto stopped by a dango shop, he thought it was strange. He hadn't seen either of his parents at night or morning. His memory said that this was normal, but it was still weird. Kushina was deep within the Uzumaki compound, trained to become next clan head. Minato was always heavy down with work. Since Konoha was so much more larger now, it made sense that there would be work. He felt a bit guilty about that, but there wasn't anything he would do now. As Naruto was thinking about seals that he wanted to create, as he was leaning against a railing. But he hadn't been here long enough to think long enough. Naruto-san, as he turned to see Sakura, as she greeted with a small bow. Ma, it's too formal. Call me Naruto. As he smiled at her and tilted his head to the side. She looked the same outfit, the same pink hair, but not cut short, but the same build. Did she have the same abilities? Alright Naruto, she said, as she blushed a bit more timid, as he wondered if she had a crush on anyone, Sasuke perhaps. So it's gonna be about half an hour until the others get here. Sakura said, and I was wondering, what's Menma-kun really like, she asked. I mean, he's always busy on missions, but he's really powerful. And he's a purge, right? And he's the Hokage-san, so he's really well known. As a rather distant look was in her eyes, as she noticed that, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Don't worry about it, said Naruto. I think it's cute that you're interested in him. He's aloof, but like you said, he's very busy. And I don't get to see him much. And he doesn't really like me much. So anyway, what kind of missions do you guys usually take? She seemed relieved at the change in topic. Well, we usually go on B ranks and A ranks. Sometime when things are quieter, we get C ranks. But now that you're on the theme, I think we're gonna get more C ranks, she said. Once again, she went pink. Oh god, I'm not really helping matters, am I, she said, as she looked away. It's only logical, said Naruto. I'm merely a genin after all. As he chuckled, rather enjoying her embarrassment. I cannot imagine Hokage giving the team the same mission with a new member on it. One that just is a genin, he said, as he chuckled in his mind. They didn't even know his capabilities of a ninja. For his father, that was extremely bad. But there were so many ninjas, and genins were usually under the care of a jonin, and records had been handed in to the Hokage after the missions, but he had not had the same done for him. In fact, he wouldn't be surprised if his father started him off on D ranks. Something that he hated. Why didn't they just apprentice him off to someone? Ah, here comes Sasuke-kun, she said. As Naruto lay back and relaxed. Sasuke-san, he said. You're nothing that I thought you would be, Sasuke said. No one else would have the balls to walk out on a formal dinner like you did. And better yet, you did in a way that my father could not argue with. As Naruto realized Sasuke's patterns were more relaxed than before. They were different a lot. Then again, this Sasuke had his family. He was completely different. I must apologize for that. Menma, he was out of line and perhaps so was I. As he looked up into the leaf, the very tree that Hashirama has created. Sasuke was about to say more, but Kakashi arrived in Sunshin, as he gave them a bright smile. As Naruto grinned back as Sakura and Sasuke sweat dropped. We have our very first mission as Team 7, he said, holding up a scroll. As Naruto noticed they were a shade different from each other, but that was a D-rank scroll. He made D-ranks the darkest because that was how he felt about them. As Kakashi tossed at him as he caught it easily and opened it. As he snorted, village chores. These aren't even what the mission scroll was written on, which means he needs something for me to do. I will show him what I think of his village chores. Don't worry, I get these ones. You guys go to the hot springs or something, okay? He just walked away muttering under his breath. Anyone else feel the ungodly urge? Do as he said, Sasuke asked. Anyone else want to stick around to see what he does? Asked Sakura. Well, I'm sure that we will figure about it all later. But still, I'm a squad leader. But that was a low blow on Sensei's part. I say we go to the hot springs, said Kakashi as he shrugged. Time skip. Minato frowned. It was far too quiet. He expected Team 7 to come barging in hours ago, demanding a new mission. But his envoy couldn't even sense them. Not even the Uzumaki envoy in the nearest vicinity. It made him nervous, and as Hokage, it made him listen to his gut instinct. Time skip. A flash went through the steam as Sasuke turned to see Naruto beside him. It was probably a bad habit that all Namikaze had. I was here the whole time, and anyone who said otherwise was lying, said Naruto. Got that? What are teammates for, if not to lie for each other? Sasuke shrugged. Great, Naruto said, as he sank into the hot water. It was good to be in the younger body again. If I may ask, what isn't it that you didn't do? Sasuke said quite relaxed as well. A wicked grin came on Naruto's face. Time skip. Minato jumped as a flurry of people entered his office. All of them arguing and demanding to be here at the same time. He held up his hand and they were instantly quiet as he gestured to the Anvu. The Anvu stepped forward and placed two storage scrolls on Minato decks. Getting the idea that it was what inside the scroll was the problem, he placed his hands on it and unsealed it. A tub of instant ramen appeared where there should have been rations and rubber. Academy training appeared where there should have been sharpened and battle-ready equipment. Fukaku walked over as he pulled away the blinds, showing the Hokage monument as he was the chief of police as he was reporting this. The next person then came forward, reported that the shopping district received a new decoration scheme. The more and more incidents that were reported, the more confused that Minato grew. They were the most childish thing I ever heard of, but they had this demanding thing to them, like they were demanding to be heard. Also, it was like a slap into his face as someone was able to override every security seals, go through them like nothing. Uzumaki perhaps, Fukaku said, since it would take knowledge and sealing to go through something like that, and also the person was not witnessed and spotted at once. Was it all the same person or was it a group of them? Naruto, Menma says he entered the office as he had a shredded Jonin's vest. All the pockets were missing the bottom so nothing would stay in them. What makes you so sure? Asked Minato. It's the only evidence he left and it's not evidence, it's taunting, said Menma, as he held up a piece of paper. Take it for the brilliance that it is, Menma teen, and enjoy the show, it read. That hardly says it, Naruto, Minato pointed out. He's the only one that would call me teen. Everyone else is too respectful or fearful, said Menma. Not to be inconsiderate, Menma-san, but shouldn't we be concerned with the brilliant and the show part, said Inoichi. What are you getting at? Asked Fukaku. Well, so far none of the pranks are brilliant, and there hasn't been much of a show. They simply appear, so this leads me to believe that there's more coming, said Inoichi. What more could he possibly do, Minato wondered out loud. If he was anything like he used to be as a small child, they were in for trouble. Wait and see, because right now we have no real evidence that it was him, so we cannot bring him in. Shikaku said the pranks have been harmless so far. It's only logical to assume that they will continue to do so. Minato didn't like it, but he didn't have much choice in the matter either. Menma, watch him. Are you sure that's necessary? I mean, he's only a genin, said Fukaku, raising an eyebrow. A genin maybe, but a ninja for 4 years. I don't know about you, but I sure as hell didn't say the same for 4 years since you are not. And I never forget the day that he was born. Neither should any of you. Time skip. Naruto relaxed as he walked behind Team 7. Despite the pranks, they completed the mission. And Naruto was the one who did them, as he written out the report at bathhouses, so everything was fine. They just need to hand it over to Hokage. Hey, what are you guys doing tonight? Naruto said. Well, not much actually, said Sakura. I was going to train. Today wasn't very productive. Meh, I was just going to read Kakashi. As he gave them an ice smile with both eyes, because he had no Sharingan. Great. Well, there's this spot out in training ground, and it has this amazing view of the village. Of course, it's not as good as seeing it from Hokage's monument, but it's good all the same. You guys have to meet me there. It's training ground 50 or something like that, said Naruto cheerfully. You actually use that ancient word? Said Sasuke. Which word? Awesome. The Uzumakis were wild about it. Sakura explained. But awesome is a classic, it will be forever. As Naruto said, with a gasp as he realized he was the one that started that trend back in the past. Sasuke gave a half-hearted wave as he jumped away. Where is he going? And he didn't even say if he was going to come tonight. He didn't say that he wasn't. So that is Sasuke, for he would be there. No idea why though. He doesn't usually give in to newbies. Sometimes we had to work with others. And it never turns out this well. As Sakura looked at Naruto, there was just something familiar about him, as she shrugged. Sasuke can't think your interest in Naruto-san. He's also comfortable, knowing that he's Team 7's strongest member now, without Arashi and under myself, Kakashi. As Sakura looked over at Naruto. As Naruto burst out laughing. Sounds like Sasuke, he said, between laughs. Sakura was confused how Naruto knew what Sasuke was like. So, will you two be there, he said after calming down. Sure. Sakura smiled warmly and Kakashi shrugged. As Naruto felt a bit bad that this team was so distant from each other, he had to get them working in sync. Time skip. As Naruto went there, seeing that he didn't have much to do, well, he did make some food. As this was going to be interesting, Sasuke was the first to arrive. So, why are we here? It's a combination of today's mission, said Naruto with a grin. Yeah, real brilliant thing you did today, dope. You decorate the village. That's something I would expect from a pre-genin, Sasuke said. Oh, that is just preparation, said Naruto. Sasuke was really curious, as his curiosity burned brightly when it comes to his Namikaze, as he had foolishly believed Menma's words. Probably Menma didn't know nothing about Naruto at all, and perhaps he was just blinded that Naruto was so, well, strange in the academy, and always saying that he was going to surpass the one man in Konoha history that was unsurpassable, the First Hokage. Kakashi arrived next as the sun was going down, choosing a branch above the two. As he didn't say anything, and Sasuke seemed lost in his thoughts, as Naruto was just lying back, rather relaxed. As Kakashi was a bit confused meeting this Naruto, he didn't sound anything like the one that they described. Yes, he was completely different, as he wondered if Menma was here as well, seeing that he was supposed to be watching Naruto. As Naruto sensed two other chakra arriving, one was Sakura and the other was Arashi, as their voice came up. Come on Arashi-kun, just because you got promoted, it doesn't mean you're no longer a part of the team. Just be happy and come with me, said Sakura. You're not giving me a choice, Sakura-chan, he said. As Arashi, this was a side to him that he hasn't shown anyone before. As far as Naruto remember, he was a rather serious individual. Mostly it was due to his grandfather being someone rather serious, and he had to maintain appearances. Well, that and the fact that he lost his father at a young age. But Naruto wondered, wasn't his father important as well? Well, he was serious, but Menma was. Man, this place was a headache. As Sakura was dragging Arashi along, dragged him by the back of his jacket. As Sasuke jumped down and approached to with a smile. A smile that Naruto didn't really see since coming to his world. And now he felt a loneliness in his heart. As he moved his gaze away from them and looked towards the village, as he saw some genuine squads trying to scrub away his work from earlier. He shook his head, unless one of those brats was the Uzumaki, sealing master, they aren't getting anywhere too soon. So, Naruto-san, why are we here at Kakashi? Well, it would be better if it get real dark, said Naruto. I brought food, so it's not like we just be waiting around. As he reached for a storage scroll, and then we can watch a show. Just think, dinner and a show. The team just blinked at him, as Naruto unrolled the scroll in the ground. Biting his thumb, he swiped across the seal as he stepped back. That storage seal. I've never seen it before, Arashi said. Oh yeah, I made it. It's to preserve the heat of the food. Storage things can do a lot of things like preserving a body or a storage item. It's like it's floating in a pocket time. Like for time that's in storage, it's actually a whole nother dimension. But that doesn't actually keep things warm. So I decided to make my own. As he sat down around the food. Well, anyway, begin. As Sakura was the first to sit down, Arashi then did, a bit cautious. And Kakashi then did a bit cautious as well. Just out of curiosity, Kakashi, which restaurant did you buy this from? He asked. Oh, I didn't, said Naruto. I made it. As Sakura reached up to take a bite of dango as she stopped. What? Said Naruto. He didn't remember his younger days in the academy. He tried to cook because that was one of the first Hokage talents. But he never had a teacher and he tried to teach himself and he never was good at it. Seeing that he was the son of the Hokage and the son of Uzumaki, no one said no at first when he made them try his food. I've gotten better. I have, you know, said Naruto, because back then his food was rather terrible. I had a lot of time on my hands, he said. As Sasuke reached and picked up a ball of ijeri and took a bite. As he stood there, Sakura took a bite of the dango. Oh my, her eyes widened as Kakashi picked up a bowl of miso soup with a piece of eggplant. I find it interesting that this has a large variety of food to pick from, but most of it contained our favorites, Sasuke muttered, except for Arashi's. Oh, it does, said Naruto, as he was trying to play like eat that right here. They had the same likes as his Team 7, but he didn't really know about Arashi's likes. I didn't even notice that, Sakura said. This is so weird. As she smiled at Naruto, you have gotten better, a lot better. This is amazing. He chose not to comment. So your brother knew little about you than I estimated, Sasuke murmured, but he was sitting next to Naruto, so Naruto heard him, but he did not reply. As they had conversations, as Sasuke and Arashi spoke when they were spoken to, it wasn't his Team 7, but at least they had this small to get together, but soon he would show them what he's been preparing all day. Yosh, he said, I think it's time. As he jumped back up in the tree, as he sent the mental command to the clone that had been set up hours ago. Down in the village, a clone walked forward to the silly joint that Genin has tried to be removed for hours now, but the Genin was gone. The clone slammed his hands on it as he pumped all the chakra into his body into it. All the joints then lit up, shine a bright blue. People who do not make it home yet stare at the drawings as they wonder what was going on. Very amusing, Naruto. You made the village glow, Sakura said. After all the hype that he was going on about, she expected something more, well, more. Just watch, Sakura-chan, he said. The joint the clone had been absorbed into lit up as it shot right up in the air. All of them shot up in the air in different ways, zigzag with a loop or everything. As they all went above the village, a sparkling haze went over Konoha, and as beautiful as it was, Sakura didn't see the point. Not everything we have to do is about death and destruction. We just do it sometime because we can. Naruto said from behind her, as she was surprised. But just keep watching. As Naruto snapped his finger, a burst of color responded from in the blue. Green exploded, and then other colors started to explode around as it changed from every color Sakura's ever seen. As she wondered how was he doing that? It's just seals, he said. At one time, used to amuse children. Just seals? She scoffed. Yep, just seals. As Naruto continued to watch a show that was booming with different colors. Meanwhile, wow, Kushina said, as she looked through the window of Hokage's tower. It wasn't obvious these days that she could leave the deepest level of the Uzumaki compound, but tonight she's glad that she was. I only ever heard about these. They're beautiful. What are they, Minato says he approached her, as he wrapped his arm around her waist and approached her, pulling her closer. Amusement. From a time long past, still ways to make others smile during the darkest war times. She then realized, those poor Jennings would have never got the pictures off the wall. Not unless they knew ceiling. Crafty little bastard we got, Louis. I wonder why he's gotten so vocal all of a sudden. I didn't think the mission I gave him would have upset him this much, said Minato. This, honey, isn't that Uzumaki getting upset. This is just our youngest, saying that he's not a genin anymore. You left him in isolation for far too long. At the moment, no one in this village knows what he's truly capable of, and that's a dangerous situation to be in. We will underestimate him for ages, would lead to more outbursts like this. While it's pretty, it's not ethical. It's too large a scale, too distracting. Any more like this, and our enemies will pick up on it and use the moment to strike. She pulled away as she bit her lip in concern. How could we have left him alone for so long? We had no choice. There wasn't a team, and he barely passed in the academy. I seem to recall one painful, long night of you telling me how he could die on his first D-rank missions if he was alone out there, just because the academy score said that he shouldn't graduate. That was the night that we decided to pass him anyway. Neither of us want to tell him that he failed. With that in mind, I don't understand where the sudden display of skill is coming from. He's had no teacher, he's done nothing rather different. Yet here we stand with something unexplainable on our hands. Could it be that he was bored in the academy and didn't really try? I don't know. But how do we find out what he knows? How do we test him, she said. We could just get Kakashi to watch him on missions and compile a report. There are also the usual genin to tune the exam. But that is not what concerns me. What if someone has been teaching him and no one noticed? 3 years. That's how long we haven't been keeping a close eye on him. Menma. You kept focusing on Menma, she said, as she felt anger now. What if someone was manipulating her younger son? As she fell back to her old argument. It was something he thought about many times. Something that she is not fully forgiving Minato for. Kushina, please. As he looked at her, he had seen the genius in his older son, thinking of all the things that he could accomplish. He had trained Menma's excitement, completely forgetting that Naruto was growing up as well. By the time Naruto entered the academy, Menma was a jonin alongside Itachi Uchiha. Yet Naruto kept bringing home report cards that had failure after failure. Kushina had blamed Minato for this for focusing on Menma too much. Yet Naruto was determined in a way that Menma could never be. No matter how many people told him to give up, he never did. He kept on trying and going forward. By the third exam, Naruto's eyes had dimmed. After failing 3 times, Kushina had begged Minato to pass him, and he did. But none of the others wanted to place him on a team. He was loud, and he was a distraction, and talentless. That was what they said. As a Hokage's son, it was hard to believe that he and Menma was related. As Kushina had begged Minato, and Minato had given in, given the highly classified order for Iruka to pass Naruto anyway. As Iruka wanted to refuse, but the order from Hokage was the order. As Minato knew that Iruka had a soft spot for Naruto, because the boy was still determined, but he still lacked the thing that he needed out there on missions. To this day, Iruka couldn't look Minato in the eye, so now Naruto was a mystery and no one could understand it. As Minato had his suspicions that Kushina only agreed to the Uzumaki clan hate training so that she could get away from him. Had he hurt her that much with his mistake? A mistake that he realized so late to fix. I'm sorry, he whispered. Not for the first time, and probably not for the last. Time skip. Naruto was running late to Team 7 that morning because he ran into his mother when he was leaving. To his memory, that was rather surprising because she was hardly home these days. It was sad to think that he didn't know not just one, but both his parents in 2 lifetimes. Not to mention, why did Hashirama send him here anyway? He knew that things wouldn't be the same. What was the man thinking? But he couldn't ask him, he was long dead. Perhaps he left a message somewhere, some note. But where? There was something going on here, he just knew there was. But he didn't have a whole lot to go on. He only been back a day. Something was going on, he just didn't know what. As he arrived to the bridge, he was distant and just thinking. So he was just speaking when he was spoken to. None of them asked him what was wrong, as he just stayed to his own thoughts. None of them knew him that well. This was not his world, this was new. Every time he saw something, every time he saw his family, he was just going to be reminded that this wasn't his world, of how out of place he truly was. Had he upset Hashirama in some way for the man to cast him out of the past, back into the present? Had Hashirama truly believed that he was helping him, and he would never be able to ask him, because Hashirama had long since died, and to the Shinobi Nation, so did the first. This time they got a C rank to sort out some bandits, as Naruto took the mission to reflect on his thoughts. If his memories hadn't merged into this timeline of the one that he had, he'd have been far more angrier, but this timeline was calming down a bit. He was the failure of the Namikaze family, the Hokage's son that no one knew, the one that no one wanted to know. Still, what did happen? He changed things, he made it better, but there are a few, like the third, who was a fourth Hokage in this time, and Haruka, who stuck up for him. Perhaps he would see them when he returned. His memory said that he didn't do this often. Would it be seen as odd? Anything that appeared off in the ninja village would be noticed rather quickly. Then again, Sasuke managed to leave the village successfully in his original childhood. As Naruto clenched his fists, he couldn't even smack Hashirama over the head. Yet again, the idiot was dead and buried. Another thought was how they passed, defending the village. That thought was a depressing one. Anything strong enough to kill both of them was a scary thought. And Madara. What happened to the Uchiha? They were still in the village and alive, so that was a good start. But had Madara left originally, like the first time around, the Naruto from this timeline wasn't great with history either. Would he be suddenly suspicious if he went to the library? As he wasn't using the Uzumaki style, he was using the Academy one because this is what his memory had in this time. It would be difficult to explain how he learned so quickly and so advanced, but not impossible. Naruto. As Naruto blinked away the questions that he didn't have the answers for. Sakura-san, he said, "Is everything alright? You've been really quiet today." As Sasuke was listening as well. As Kakashi was leaning against a tree with his book in his hand. Not the Ichi book, just a normal book. As Naruto could feel a buzz in his chakra, he was also curious. "I just bumped into my mom this morning," he said, "that's all." As he smiled and became sadder, "I don't see her very often since she started her clan training. And I guess I found myself thinking about how much it is to be a big responsibility of becoming the Hokage or head of a clan. I did want to surpass it first, I do want to. And I guess that means I want to be the Hokage. But it seemed like a decision that should have more thought to it, considered. Of all the responsibilities and sacrifices that are tied to the position." She looked at him. "She didn't really think about that. Well," she said with a smile, "just don't stay too quiet. It makes us all worried. We got used to your cheerfulness." As he knew that he could not explain to her. He didn't even know where he belonged. An empty feeling was in his gut when he knew at this point Kurama would have talked some sense into him. But that wasn't going to happen this time. Kurama wasn't here. As he gripped his shirt right where the seal should have been. Meanwhile, Menmo was watching from the shadows. He didn't know what it was, but Naruto was different, a lot different. He's been ignoring him for too long to be sure. How much different though? But he could tell that he was different. So far, it has only been one day, and nothing to report yet. Team 7 had completed their mission, they were heading back to the village. As Menmo wanted to see what would Naruto do, left to himself. Kakashi said that he would do the mission report, as he waved them off. As Naruto wasn't sure what to do, perhaps get caught up on his training. Would he have to worry about eyes watching him? "Hey Naruto, do you want to come with me to meet up from the others from our year?" Sakura asked, smiling at him. "I'll see you guys later," said Sasuke. "I meet up with Itachi in a bit," as he went off. As he looked towards Sakura, she was so timid and polite, almost like Hinata. "Sure, why not?" he said. "There's gonna be food there, right?" As Sakura nodded. "Yeah, we decided to meet at the barbecue, like day we picked you up from training grounds." "You mean you haven't done this before?" Naruto asked, as he was sure that he encourages behavior between Hashirama and Tobirama's team, even Madara. "No," she said. "We usually just focus on the mission and maintain the village. Seeing that we're the only self-sustaining village, outside of taking missions, we focus on that mainly. Each clan played their part. Since I'm not part of a clan, I help where I'm needed. I particularly like working with Nara, learning about the medical supplies. I've been trained in medical ninjutsu part-time as well," as she was leading them towards the restaurant. "I think you would be great at medical ninjutsu," Naruto said. As he wondered if Tsunade would teach her, like she did last time. It would add an amazing asset to the team. As Naruto saw the Uzumakis, the Senjus, and the Uchihas, there were other members, like the fields of the clans that he poached from what would have become Mizu. Their affinity for water was still strongly reflected in their cool chakra, of course. The Inuzakas, the wild and viciousness. The quiet activity of the Burmei. The soft, focused feeling of Hyuga, and the lazy feeling of the Nara. And the Akimichi and the Yamanaka as well. As he could feel the soft hum of the chakra that surrounded him into the walls. Most of the chakra was Senjutsu, but not all of it. As he could feel his own chakra and Kurama as well. After all, it was in the system design. It was a good feeling. This was everything they worked for. All of their sacrifice, everything. Naruto-san. As Naruto was outside the restaurant, as Tenten was the one who called out to him. "Ah, sorry, I was listening," said Naruto. "Listening to what?" asked Kiba. "Isn't it obvious he's a censor?" A person Naruto did not know replied. He was younger than Rest, standing next to Arashi. He had bright red hair, even lighter than Arashi. If he didn't know any better, the boy here looked kind of pink. As Naruto felt the potential that this boy had, as he raised his hand, Namikaze Naruto, it's a pleasure to meet you. The boy gave him an odd look. Uzumaki Tatsumaki, he said, but he did not shake Naruto's hand. Naruto burst out laughing. Seriously? Whirlpool tornado, he said. Not to mention the Arashi name mean, Whirlpool storm was bad enough, but this was fantastic. You're one to talk, fish cake, Tatsumaki said, eyes flashing with Uzumaki anger. Wave and wind, maelstrom, that was what his name represented. Well, at least my name doesn't rhyme. Most parents should have shortened that to Tatsu, like Jiraiya had, since the full word of Naruto's name was actually Narutomaki. Shall we head inside, Sakura said, ready with embarrassment. Sure, said Naruto as he went into the restaurant. The others are running late, Choji said not to start without him, Kiba said. He should know better. As everyone was rather relaxed. They haven't really experienced much already, like wars, and the Kyuubi attack on his birth. As the server went to get their drink order as he sat down the large booth. As Naruto remained quiet as he started to talk about Arashi and his promotion. As they started talking about the trials. As Neji slipped into the booth. I'm not even sure what the trials are. As Naruto noted, he didn't have the cage bird seal. That was a relief. And so that Neji asked about the trials, that was good. Because Naruto didn't know what they were talking about. Well, it's a test, kind of like Chunin exams, but for the Uzumakis. It's become something of an entertainment to the village. You notice if you didn't change so much. Sakura punched him lightly on the shoulder as she answered his question and teased him. Can I do the trials, Naruto asked, as he didn't know if he could do them or not. His memory didn't supply any knowledge of Minmine trials. There might be some paperwork involved in that. I mean, you're Uzumaki by blood, but you're not in the clan. Tatsumaki said, the clan is pretty close. You might not be able to handle the intensity of it. Worried I'll smoke you, said Naruto. The rest of the table burst into laughter. Getting cocky, know that you're on Team 7, Naruto, Kiba asked. I'm not an academy idiot anymore, said Naruto. Besides, my mom is going to be the next clan head. So I think being in trials is not a big deal. Did Menma ever do them? The table went quiet. What? Said Naruto. Menma is a genius, but his prowess don't extend to all things, Uzumaki lied. Shikamaru stood from behind him as Naruto could sense him already, with Ino and Choji. So no, he hasn't attempted the trials. Most don't know that he's hopeless as seals, said Shikamaru as he slipped into the booth. But isn't he dreamy all the same? Ino said, eyes growing distant. It reminded Naruto of Sasuke fangirls from way back, as he couldn't risk asking about the absent Uchiha. What about Sasuke? I always thought out of all of us, he would have the least trouble getting a girl. As Sakura looked at him in surprise, either due to the fact that of the question that he posed, or Sasuke was even eligible. Don't you know that Sasuke doesn't stand a chance? With Itachi and Minma being around, Kiba laughed. Those two are all the girls talk about. Really? Said Naruto. Itachi seemed like he wouldn't even notice a girl was there, and Minma was just a jerk. Well, those two, and Shizue-kun as well, said Tenten, as she had a dream look in her eyes as well. Suddenly, Sasuke's less arrogant mood made sense. He was overshadowed by two other Uchiha. Much like Naruto, he was always being measured up to his older brother and his cousin. Well, Sasuke was still considered a genius in his own right. The server came with the food. Choji probably asked him for it when they arrived. So what was the deal with the trials? Why were we even on the topic? Asked Ino. Arashi is going to be in the trial this year. It's his final try. Tatsukan is going to be in them as well. Only, it's his first time, Sakura said. You won't get 3 tries, right? Kiba said. As Tatsumaki nodded. To this day, since the founder of the village, you only get 3 tries. But no one has ever managed to pass the last trial. You can participate in time, but you only get 3. So we try not to waste them. I'm one of the youngest to participate. My grandfather is currently the youngest to participate, and he took his final trial when he was 20. Arashi continued where his younger sibling had left off. They were originally inspired to keep up with the Uzumaki traditions for the younger generations in Sakura, and eventually became a bit of a healthy competition for the clan. As Naruto wondered, him being in it, would that be cheating? He was the first Hokage. Nah, he thought to himself. The next week was rather uneventful. Menma handed his report to Minato without even a word, as he wished his father would take him off his pitiful mission. Naruto didn't do anything, no sealing, no extra training, just sparring with his teammates. Well, a bit of taijutsu, academy spar. Minato did not read the report, he didn't need to. Menma mood was all that he needed. So one shining act of brilliance and then nothing again, huh? Just like the day he was born. You're disappointed, said Minato. Do I still have to follow him? Minato sighs, conversation with Kushina coming back at him. You should talk to him sometime, Menma. Stop teasing him so much. He's your brother. I believe this assignment is the most amount of time you spend with him in a while. even if he didn't know that you were there. I do not tease him. It would be a waste of my time and effort, Minma said. No, you don't have to follow him anymore. Are you going to enter the trials this year? Minato said. No, I'm a Namikaze, not a Uzumaki. Naruto has shown interest to participate in. Minato said, want to see Minma's reaction. And? Are you going to let him? Asked Minma. I cannot deny it. I don't have a proper reason to. But, the entrance has already been finalized. He had to wait in the next trial. To have a go at it. So it's just another opportunity for him to embarrass us, whatever. It's your mess to clean. This was the attitude he was showing because he was with Minato, otherwise he would have been stiff and formal. Give me a real mission. Minato handed him a scroll. He bowed before leaving. He didn't like talking about Naruto, it was too painful. Time skip. As Naruto was currently training with Sasuke, he got the papers about the trials. As he was told that he couldn't enter this time but the other time. So he just wanted to see what they were about. As Naruto was currently sparring with Sasuke at the moment, he had to heavily tone down his, well, almost everything. Because Sasuke was not at his level, well, considering Naruto's experience. But Sasuke was good, better than before. Perhaps having his whole clan around him and his brothers help as well. This version of his training reminded him of Aizuna, as Naruto wondered if he was directly related. Alright, Sasuke says he jumped back. Stop holding back on me. And don't tell me you're not, Itachi's my brother. And I always know when he's holding back. Plus, sparring with you is like sparring with Itachi. Naruto waved him over. I'm sorry, that I'm holding back, Sasuke. But I cannot go all out, he said. Why? Sasuke was rather calmer this time, so there was no anger or rage when he spoke. Because if I was to go all out, you wouldn't be able to keep up with me, if you could believe that. Show me then, Sasuke said. Show me what you're holding back. Naruto could feel the giddiness in Sasuke's chakra coils. His brother was not here, so perhaps, as he looked around, as he got into a new stance. Sasuke's never seen this one before, that he used. Try to keep up, he said. As Naruto blurred out of sight, Sasuke narrowed his eyes all around, before he felt something behind him. He lashed over the back of his hand, but Naruto flipped and landed on a tree. As he propelled off it with such speed, he struck Sasuke right in the shoulder. Sasuke jumped back. The moment Sasuke got up fully, a knee planted into his stomach as he coughed. As Naruto knocked him right in the back. As he started to fall, Naruto twisted his body and broadened his leg. Sasuke was sent sailing back with a kick. Sasuke was about to crash in a tree, but Naruto was already on the tree as he grabbed Sasuke by the hand and flipped him over and smashed him into the ground. As Naruto jumped down, Sasuke lay there, confused, in pain, as he tried to understand what the hell just happened. As Naruto approached him, Sasuke flinched, thinking that there was going to be another attack. As blood was coming out of his mouth, that kick probably dislocated his shoulder, as he was in intense pain. He has never been beaten so quickly, so fast before. As Naruto was still holding back, and he could feel it. Just what was he? As a hand placed on his back. I'm no medic ninja, but I picked up a few things. As Naruto knew that he went too far, he knew he had, but Sasuke would have been furious if he went any less. I guess I did more damage than I intended. I'm sorry, Sasuke, he said. I guess you'll have to go to the hospital. His shoulder was popped back into place with that ease, and it didn't really feel much painful. Just how powerful was Naruto, and how advanced. Don't, Sasuke said when Naruto stopped. I asked for this. You didn't know what you were asking for. Why, Sasuke said. Why what, Naruto asked. Why did you ask me to help you spar? There's only so much progress one can make on their own. How did you get this good? Not even Sensei could probably beat you. Practice, Naruto said, a weak laugh. If you would believe that I'm kinda suffering from an injury. That is the reason I asked you to spar, said Naruto. I didn't think the gap would be so great. It's been a long time since I felt this weak, said Naruto, as he thrust his fist towards a tree, as it exploded where he punched. As the remainder of the tree fell over, Sasuke's eyes widened. Weak? Was this really weak that Naruto speak of? And the way he speak in this moment, this was not Naruto they knew. This was something else completely. It is so frustrating when there's something you want to do but can't, said Naruto, because you're injured. As he looked towards his hand, as blood was dripping. As Sasuke was wondering, was he referring to a point in his life where his hand wouldn't even have gotten hurt? Sasuke really wondered, what was this new Naruto, and how was he so powerful? But guys, if you enjoyed this episode right here, if you want the next part, you start to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.